What's up, guys? Welcome back to RollPlay R&D. Going into hour number 2 here. Steven, we're entering JON.
Awesome. So what's happened so far? Let's see. We cleared out of the tower. We headed down this mountain face. Fink found us a shortcut down like a rock fall. We started heading down it. Amsel got hungry, so we stopped, ate a ration each. And then as Duncan and Lobelia were scouting ahead, Lobelia jumped down a little overhang, startled a group of wyverns that attacked the group. The group fought back ferociously, defeating the beasts, and then we made it to the gates of the town. So here we are at Jeowyn, spelled Jeowyn, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was Jon, and we literally pronounced it.
No, it's Jeowyn.
Jalen.
And the mayor of the town is named Joan.
Yeah.
I remember
that. He's a good
Yeah,
friend
so
of
this
mine.
is a moderately sized town, probably like 300 to 500 people living in it. It's got, 2 or 3 different districts. There's 1 or 2 taverns. It's kind of on this mountain pass in the Beholder's Eye Mountains. So it sort of serves as a trading post for people from the Northlands to come out here through the mountains and be able to trade with the Southern Realms without needing to go too terribly far. So it kind of has a seasonal population. So there are a number of houses and taverns that only see real business during the spring and fall months when the Northlands come down to make trade with the Southlands. So you speak quickly with the guard and manage to get into the town, even though it's fairly late at night. What are you looking to do first?
Well, Steven, when I
Yes,
enter a
Duncan.
town, someone in the town who respects the customs of hospitality to minstrels takes me in as their guest.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah, that's part of my human racial.
Oh man,
Hook it up, homie.
Cool. So, let me think. So we're gonna need to go a little bit more in detail with this guard at the gate. He's a little suspicious at first. Actually, it's not a he; it's a she. And she shouts down from the top of the gate. She shouts, "Who goes there? What's your purpose here in town?"
I look up at her, and I turn back. I'm like, you talking to me?
She shouts down, "Are you the leader of this ragtag bunch of loonies?" "Yes. If it is you, then I am speaking with you."
I turn back around, and I look back. You're talking to me.
She says, "All right. If you're going to be like that, then you can sleep outside. Farewell, friends."
I turn back
she-
to the group,
she
and I'm
leaves.
like, I think she's talking to us.
No,
He's
no,
supposed to
wait.
be charismatic.
You
So-
would leave an old woman out here the cold night. Now, would you open up? We simply want to find a place where we can rest and advance ourselves knowledgeably in the time that we have here, and then continue on with our quest.
There's a small door in the gate, and she slams open a little peephole. She looks out, and you see these 2 burning, angry eyes look out, and she says, "Look, it's 10 p.m. I've got a long night ahead of me. I don't really like night duty, and I don't know who you are or where you're coming from. So if you want to get in town, why don't you tell me what the deal is?"
Steven, I look at her very seductively, and I reach for my flute, and I press it to my lips and let out
Yes.
the noise of.
And it's like
She-
the anthem for the town.
Her face immediately changes. As you
And I slowly put it down to
She-
my hip.
She steps back from the door, and you hear the clinking of a lock, and the door opens, and she looks out and she says, "A minstrel."
I keep eyeing her. Like both hands at my sides, like I'm very proud.
She looks you up and down, and she says, "You look like a northerner. Are you from those frigid lands, stranger?"
I turn to the rest of the group and I nod to her very casually.
She says, "My mother always told me it was deathly bad luck to ignore a minstrel in his time of need. Very well. You may enter the town. The rest of you will have to find room and board wherever you can. But minstrel, there's bread and salt for you at my abode.
I turn to the group
if
and
you
let
need
out
a place to stay.
very regal bow to the rest of the group, and I say, "Toodaloo," just like walking off.
Sure.
So wonderful.
Don't forget your Jimmy
look
hat.
at him and I'm like, when will we see you again, Duncan?
I turn to her and I say, "When the time is right, I shall appear."
And I look at Fink and Amsel. I'm like, what does that mean?
Forget about him. Let's find an inn.
So you see Duncan go walking off with this woman in her leather armor with her short sword strapped at her side. What are the three of you doing this evening?
So I guess I'm gonna go find an inn and get a drink.
There's not a guard at the front gate. We could simply march an army into this place and take it over if we wished, but we should get some rest.
So,
all right, so you're going to look for an inn?
Yeah,
Yes.
so I sort of look around and examine my surroundings and take in the entry area of the town.
Okay. Are you trying to discern realities?
I mean, I just want you to tell me where it is. I'm trying to role play. I don't try
Yeah,
really
no,
hard.
that's good.
Sure,
No, that's great.
I don't know if I necessarily want to discern realities because I can like fail that. No, fuck it. No, I am. That's what I'm doing. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Roll 2d6 plus wisdom.
+2. So I take in a deep breath. Okay. And I look around. My eyes glow red as I start to perceive the town as it truly is.
Oh. All right. So you can ask one of those following questions.
Oh god, now my PDF. I need to like uninstall and reinstall. It keeps locking up. Okay, there we go.
Go to Roll20,
in
Sean.
the Roll20 thing, yeah.
Yeah, on the handouts under basic moves.
Oh, that's amazing. I've been using just a separate PDF. Okay, listen.
Oh yeah, bro.
Who should I be on the lookout for?
You know what? You scout around, just like looking, seeing that there's nobody at the gate. Seeing that there's nobody at the gate, you sort of slip up the stairs up to the top of the gate, and you sort of survey the town from a higher perspective, and you see a tall, ornately decorated building fairly nearby. It looks like some kind of a church. And of course, if there's some kind of a church, then there must be some kind of a priest. And that's off to your right as you're looking at the town. And off to your left, you see you do see a tavern a couple of streets over with a couple like large braziers of fire burning out in front, and a couple of revelers sort of like drinking and talking outside in front of this tavern.
What here is useful or valuable to me?
Sorry, bro. You only get one question.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
The rolls. Deny.
I wonder what is useful or valuable to me, and then I decide it's not that important. And I turn to Lobelia.
We see these people, right? Talking.
Sorry, Lobelia? I missed the start of that.
Sorry. I said we see these people talking in front of the church, right?
Yeah, if you followed, so there's people in front of the tavern. The church looks darkened, but if you followed Fink up to the top of the stairs here, then yeah, you see this as well.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Sean? You said you're gonna turn to me and what?
I'm gonna turn to you and Lady Amsel and say, I suggest we head to the church. If it's a cleric from one of my old guilds, we can easily have a place to stay.
I'm willing to try that out. What about you, Miss Amsel?
Sounds
All right.
good.
The three of you set off through the streets of town. Let's find out what's going on with
I'm
Duncan.
like skipping and following Fink.
Wonderful. So Duncan, as you walk, this woman takes off her helmet. It's like a half helm, so it's got like a nose guard, but her lower face is left exposed. She takes it off and she shakes out her thick auburn hair.
Yeah.
She turns to you and she says, "My name is Issa. It's nice to meet you, Sir Minstrel. From where do you hail?"
I just look at her intently, and I go, "Issa, how can I get you to sleep with me? And I'm being very open and frank with her.
Oh my goodness. She turns
Wow.
away from you, and you see like the faint tinge of a blush on her face as you pass by a near streetlight. And she says, she's sort of like, she coughs to herself demurely, and she says, "Minstrel, I know not even your name. I'm sure you've ventured to stranger lands and seen much more beautiful women than I. I can't imagine why you would even consider such a thing. Please come to my abode, break bread with me, share my bread and salt. Perhaps you could tell me a story of the outside world. I've never left djWHEAT."
Now, Steven, they have to answer truthfully. Is that
Oh,
true?
and she absolutely has.
Also, you get to ask me a question as well, and I must answer truthfully.
Ooh,
She's so modest.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I'm so excited to hear what else in this world is classified as game. Hey, baby, I know you want
what
this.
do I want to know about? Yeah, Duncan, like, who was the first girl that you fell in love with?
Oh.
It was Pepper Potts.
From Iron Man.
That sounds like a very halfling name or gnomish.
It actually
Wasn't
was a
Pepper
gnome. It
Pepper
was when I was
Potts
a little.
is
It's Iron Man.
From
It was a
Iron
little-
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pepper.
I recently watched it. Anyway,
So Pepper Potts, the gnome.
Pepper Potts, the gnome, who I mistook, she had red hair, and I thought she was actually a young northern clansman, but
How
she was
young
actually a gnome.
did you think she was?
My age, when I was little as well.
Oh, okay. So this was like a childhood love.
Yeah. It was my
alright.
first love. Of course, it was my childhood love.
Okay, no, that's very cute.
Yeah, but I thought she was a child when she actually was a gnome. But I had so much game that she was okay with that, and I had sex when I was like 10.
So she's like a pedophile.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
We are learning some terrifying things about Duncan's background tonight.
It is a
Exactly.
different place, time and place. For sure.
It is.
Okay, so Duncan, skilled at an early age in the arts of seduction,
Indeed.
heads to the humble abode of Issa, who, as she takes off her helmet as you're walking along, you notice that she has elongated and pointed ears. And she's very clearly an elf.
I asked her if
And
she likes wood.
She's probably more an elf of the rock than an elf of the wood.
Does she tell me that?
Yeah, as you walk and you continue discourse, she tells you of her folk who live in the mountains and how she came to live in the human settlement of djWHEAT. After a disagreement with a man in her village who wanted to marry her, but she wanted to see more of the world and go adventuring, and so she went to djWHEAT. But having no coin, she ended up taking a job as a guard, hoping to like hire on to caravans heading south, but none of the caravans would take an elf. And as such, she was forced to man the walls, and she's been here for 2 or 3 years now, and she's starting to feel a little, what is it, like she's got cabin fever, basically. And
She's bored
she's
and
invited
getting
you into
anxious,
her
yeah.
home by now, and you've broken bread and had some of sort of a humble
Salt.
soup. And her house is a very humbly decorated sort of log cabin. And there's a couple of like wool tapestries that are hanging from the walls. There's a bead curtain that separates her bedroom from her dining
Asshole.
area.
He's like an asshole.
So in the meanwhile, let's
What's
find out
against
what's up
beaded
with the group.
curtains anyway.
They just don't serve any purpose as curtains. Like what?
You know what you're getting for your birthday, JP. I'm sending you beaded curtains.
And also, I can send you a picture of it on fire because that's about as good as it's.
I'll make sure the beads are like in the shape of your like little JP character, so
There
it'll
you
be legit.
Yeah.
Sean, this happened in Apocalypse World. Sorry to keep you outside on the joke.
No, I agree. No, beaded curtains are stupid. It's like, beaded curtains are like, this doorway doesn't make enough noise when I pass through it. How do I change that? Well, I put some beaded curtains there.
Yeah. Okay, what did you jump to them or did you say
Yeah,
this?
I want to find out. So you've made it up to the steps of the cathedral here. Now that you've made it here, it's actually quite grand for a small town. It's built out of stone that looks like it's quarried from the mountains. There's a large window that has it's not really stained glass. It's more like a couple individual pieces of colored glass that are fitted into a wooden frame in the window high above the double doors of this cathedral. And it's completely dark. So, Fink, you're leading this expedition. What are you doing?
Lady Amsel, do you recognize the markings on this front door of the church?
No, they're not familiar to me, but they don't look bad in any way, if that's what you're asking, Fink.
What about you, Lady Lobelia? You've traveled the land. You've traveled a lot.
I know I'm not supposed to say that I want to spout lore, but I kind of need to know the lore. Should I just
Oh.
Yeah. So go ahead.
go ahead as in roll for spout lore?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and that's pleasant,
No,
right?
just go ahead and tell us what this.
Yeah.
It's all you. It's all you.
I wonder if there's a way to say I spout lore that's like roleplay wise. I guess it'd kind of be like
I'm
I
like,
rack my memory to find out what I remember of these symbols. I don't know.
okay, I'll try to do
Go ahead
something
and
like
roll
that.
it. It's
I
fine.
knowingly tell them roll 2d6 plus is.
I got a 10.
Awesome. You recognize there's a symbol of a scale on the front doors of this church, like the two arms with these two plates. And one of them has like gold piled upon it, and another one has a man standing on it. And you recognize this symbol as, well, let's see. Yes, you recognize this symbol as the symbol of, what's his name? Muenor. Muenor. Who is the god of travelers and hospitality.
Oh.
And how is his name
Okay.
said? Numenor?
Yeah, how do you
Muenor.
pronounce that again? Or how do you spell it again?
Muenor.
Meljanor?
Muenor. Muenor.
Muenor.
Okay. I'm like,
Muenor.
yes. You know what? I actually remember this symbol. I'm trying to remember what it was. Yes, it's Muenor, the god of travel and hospitality.
Hospitality.
Did you say Numenor?
I think
And,
she did say
Furthermore,
Muenor.
Lobelia,
I've heard Numenor.
Muenor.
That's right.
you've heard that
He's like, that's right.
if you cry out on the steps of a cathedral to Muenor, you cry Muenor 3 times, and then you state a grievance. Then you will be given sanctuary and free access to the grounds of the cathedral for as long as you need it.
So it's 3 times and then what?
And then you state a grievance, like some kind of persecution that you're fleeing.
I remember this too. Who was telling me this? I remember one time, long ago, a bard once told me in the tavern over in Gementha that if you spoke to Muenor, said his name 3 times, and then you stated a grievance, something that you're trying to fend yourself from, he would give you travel or hospitality. Would you like to do
Very
the honors, good sir?
Well,
And I'm looking at Fink. Obviously,
'Cause I'm the only sir here,
is a
Amsel.
woman.
I'm
So true.
sorry. I simply thought a man of your clergy, of your stature, would not necessarily be calling out the name of another god. But maybe I'm wrong.
Actually, that's I think, Lady Amsel, that this world is so huge. I mean, how many years have you lived on this? You've almost lived here for as long as I have. You know that one god is not always the best. There's so many, and the world is filled with many, 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 many mysteries.
I'm simply suggesting that maybe Fink should stay back, and how about I will announce myself to Muenor.
There are
I'm
many
fine with that
gods.
as well.
Well, rather than suggest to one another how I feel, I will tell you, ladies, that there are many
Please
gods which I am fans of. Many gods who are wicked and evil and a plague on this land.
And you're fans of them?
No.
Oh, okay.
Some are good, some are bad.
Gotcha.
Uanor, hospitality to the travelers, easily one of my top 5 gods.
Top 5
Top 5 gods, NA.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, as Garand dictates that the collection of knowledge and gathering is important, Munor would watch over many of the disciples of Garand as they went traveling throughout the land. He is an ally of Garand. But of course, Lady Amsel, if you'd like to bow with your old creaky knees and say 3 times the name of Munor to get us entry, I'd be more than obliged.
Please allow me to announce myself before the church.
All right, Lady Amsel, what do you say?
I like
I-
like the little thing like this, like kind of letting her go.
Yeah.
I walk up and I get upon the steps and I say, Munor! 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 For someone has stolen my 5th book. I am on a quest to retrieve it and also to find some additional sulfurous ash so I can get rid of these back pains that I have been having. I travel with 4 companions, only 2 others are present. They are quite tiring to deal with, but they are my friends.
The door
Please
opens,
gives us entry.
and
then
there
closes
is
when I try to walk in.
there's an irritated-looking old man standing there. He's a human man with a gray tonsure of hair around his head. He's dressed in a gray robe, and he says, "Ah, by the gods of night and death, what is it you want, lady?"
No, we were under the impression that if we came to one of your establishments and said, Munor, 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 and stated our grievance, then you would give us the hospitality that we seek. Now, there is a tavern just across the way we could go, but we are members we are travelers with faith.
He reaches to something behind the door that you can't see, and he pulls out a big jug of wine, takes a hearty swig from it, wipes his mouth, and says, "Ah, that's better. All right, come in, come in. What's this about the sulfurous book you're looking for?"
No, sulfurous ash. We're trying to find some sulfurous ash, but that's besides the point. Simply, we need a place to camp and have we just need to chill this evening.
All right. And he pulls out like a little rod from his cloak that he's wearing, from his robe, and he like throws it in your direction a couple times, or flings it in your direction a couple times, and some droplets of water come spraying out and like hit you in the face. And he says, "Munor, Munor, Munor, come bless these travelers and grant them succor from their travails. Bring them into your bosom and hold them as safe and grant them what they seek. Come in. There's a couple of pallets in the back." And he leads you into the back where there are indeed a couple of pallets. There's a couple of other people who are just sort of curled up on a couple of them. There's a small table with a candle on it where there's a steaming pot of soup and a crusty loaf of bread. And he says, "By all means, help yourselves." He fixes Lady Amsel with a look, and he says, "Milady, you should come pay obeisance to the statue to Munor, and he will help you with your problems."
Okay, thank you very much. I'll do that right now.
He leads you into the primary worship space
I'm
where
going
there's.
to follow them.
Okay, are you trying to be stealthy?
No, not being stealthy.
Okay, yeah, you
I'm
you
feeling
walk with
guilty,
them.
so.
Okay. Yeah, you head into the main worship hall, and there's a big altar, and behind it there is a statue of a walking man who holds in his right hand a set of scales with gold on one side and then a smaller walking figure on the other side. And the priest, who introduces himself as Worech, Worech, he says, kneel here before the statue and make your claims to Munor, and he will send you a vision this evening that will help you recover your stolen belongings. Now, if you don't mind, I'll head back to my sleep. Welcome to the Temple of Munor. And he
Thank you,
strides
young
back
man.
through the hall.
Okay. Thank you.
So what do
Thank
you do,
you.
Lady Amsel?
Okay, whenever he leaves, let Lady Ansel do what she's going
I kneel before the statue and I say, Munor! Munor!
Before he gets to the
Munor!
third Munor, I put my hand on Amsel's shoulder. And I'm like, Lady Amsel, I have something to confess.
Yes, dear?
I don't want you to be angry if I tell you what it is, though.
Well, I think you must tell me what it is before I can tell you if I'll be angry or not, my dear.
So since she's kneeling down, I also kneel down, which makes me even shorter, because I'm probably standing height as tall as her when she's kneeling.
Yep.
And I like go grab my pouch, kind of take it off my shoulder, and take out the book that she probably immediately recognizes.
My book! You found
Lobelia,
it!
Lobelia, what is this book about?
I don't know. I couldn't read it.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it in a foreign language?
I don't know. Is it in
Okay.
a foreign language, Lady Amsel?
It is in a language that you will probably never be able to understand, my dear. But let me tell you something. For some time now, I've known that you've had this book, and I've been able to read energies and certain things about you by just you certainly possessing it. And I have learned that you are a good person and knew that you would eventually return my book. However, I must insist that you are now indebted to me in some way, shape, or form because this book is so important to me. And now I just feel like you owe me a favor. Maybe, you've got to do me a good because you took my book.
Awesome.
So let's call it even as long as you will agree that one day I will ask a favor of you and you must say yes.
Pending what that favor may be, I agree.
I promise you it would never be to put you or any of our party or myself or anything else in danger. It will simply be when Lady Amsel needs some help.
That's fair enough. That sounds fair enough.
That's so
I
beautiful.
hand her back the book. And I'm like,
Lady,
what is the book about anyway?